Hi guys, it's Carrie, also known as Gamerghoul. I hope you're doing super well. Apologies for the last video if I sounded a little flat. I was super exhausted, but I wanted to get a video out to you ASAP. So today's video is slightly different in the sense of it's actually based on something I've been thinking about for a while, and that is the Hideout, which is a place in the Stranger Things universe. This is heavily inspired by what I think it would look like, however it's not going to be the exact same, just full disclaimer there. I do use two prefabs this time because I wanted it to be, I wanted everyone to be able to use it or kind of take some ideas from it, like I did with this kind of nectar lounge area. I do go in several times and change things up. As always, I'm a procrastinator, but I actually love this build and I love the fact that we were able to get kind of like a really cool vibe from it. Like I say, it's not going to be a dark and dingy first rock club kind of grim area. We've all been there, but I kind of wanted it to be like the next step up, so I wanted to include like a little stagey bit, as you guys can see, a green room, some toilets, and just kind of like, I don't know, somewhere you can go and just listen to some good music and have a great time. As I say, this is heavily inspired by what I think the Hideout would look like, because I am obsessed with Stranger Things lately. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I waited until everyone's hype died down from it and just checked it out for myself. I knew I kind of wanted it to look, I don't know, I wanted it to kind of look like a really cool cross between somewhere where you can just go and have a great time and listen to a bunch of music, and something that kind of fit into my own like aesthetic. I'm like a massive rock and roll fan. I played the drums for a long time, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to include a little piece of me in this build. So there will be lots of blacks, lots of reds, and I will say this could have turned out a little better, but I did only use the very basics of this pack, so there isn't any extras added on with this one. If there were, I think I probably would have like added a few more posters and things like that, but I do like how this one came out. So there is something I want to address real quick, and that is how I edit my videos. Normally the first couple I had really heavily edited because I just wanted to kind of show you like the perfect kind of build, but lately I've just been loving the fact that things haven't gone so well, and it's also cool to kind of embrace that and just be like, okay, that didn't work, but this is what we can do to be better. So yeah, so this is only sped up ×2 just to fit in with kind of like a really good size, so you're not watching this for hours on end, and I haven't really cut anything out because again I wanted you guys to see my process and how I build things, and how many times I get it wrong. I'm not gonna lie, there are a few in this one. So yeah, I wanted to kind of create a really concrete kind of cold outside. There's no terrain in this video. I thought about it and thought against it, so this is the second video now where I've really just put little to no terrain in, just to kind of see what it would look like. I didn't really think that we'd have like potted plants and cute little wheelbarrows full of flowers and stuff in this one, but ultimately I do have a few things outside, like a little seating area and vice versa. I obviously don't play with any cheats or anything, so everything is placed as you would place it normally, although I wish I could have overlaid some of these posters. I thought it would have been really cool, and here's me trying to figure out which ones that I could really use, and it only ended up being the It's Just Justin one and like a pop idol kind of one, but I do love that we just plastered them everywhere because, let's face it, band's gotta advertise. So yeah, I do go in and make an absolute mess at the front of the building, I'm not gonna lie, but I kind of like the unhinged kind of feel to it. I didn't want it to be too perfect. As you can see, I relied heavily on those two posters. And again, it probably is something I would change if I was to go and get some more like decor packs. But yeah, I thought it ended up looking out kind of cute. I did go in several times to try and find music options, if there was like any like records we could hang up or any cool lighting, or anything like that. Unfortunately there wasn't in this one, but I definitely know on the PlayStation where I've got more stuff that I do definitely have some of it somewhere, and that's something that I struggle with because I have The Sims on the PC, which is what you're watching now, and the PlayStation, I do forget what I actually have. So I do have to scroll and look sometimes to find out, like, is this what I have on this one or this one? So I do include an outside area just in case you guys, you know, you're waiting in a queue for hours on end to get in. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of include some more decor bits outside. So I did try and find like the big outdoor signs. I should have like included some other bits that maybe like a red, like, you know, like the kind of red rope maybe fence, but for now I just like the fact that it was plain, it was simple, it was, you know, there was no through pretty bits, it was like just as it come. And I do kind of wish there was more neon sign options because frankly, you know, I love a neon sign. So I do end up using this giant sign, which the last time I used it was on, I think, a clothing shop, and I think it just kind of added a little something to how plain the walls were without it being too cluttered. That's something this year I'm definitely focusing on, is how much clutter I actually put in my builds. So as you can see, this is a very basic prefab. I do end up taking you know, like a little bit of a liberty maybe in just going I will say this took forever, just going in and just finding out what I kind of wanted and where I wanted to place things. This is probably the most time consuming thing. I really wanted just to kind of have the 4 tables over like towards this end, towards the stage area, as I kind of wanted like people to, I didn't want it to be so separate it didn't look right. In my eyes it made sense. So yeah, this took me a little minute to kind of just put things together, but ultimately I do like the yellow, which is also rare for me because normally I would have put in lots of reds, blacks, dark colours, but I actually kind of like the fact that the yellow just made it look, it popped a little, and as you can see the absolute relief when I get that island right was like, you know, it was pretty good to be fair. Even though I did end up changing it around a few more times, that island was the absolute bane of this video. And not something I actually would like to repeat. So going on in now with lights, I knew I wanted stage lights for like the little area at the back, and I'd kind of realised that the room itself wasn't big enough to kind of house the seating so close to the stage, so I kind of went with just kind of spreading it out a little more. If you guys watched my last video, you know that I wish my build was wider, so I definitely took that into account this time round. And again, I wanted to kind of create little areas within the room where you can go and sit and have like you know, you can sit comfortably, because honestly if I'm listening to a band I want to either be comfortable or quite close to them, so I can like enjoy it. So that's something I created, kind of a little bit of self-service, but I kind of like how it turned out. I do love these lights. I haven't ever used them before in a build, and I love the fact they are little cocktails. I think they turned out so well, and definitely using the extras on the nectar bar definitely does prove how good of a prefab it definitely is. So going on in now with stage lights, I knew I wanted it to kind of be, I knew my English is that. I knew I kind of wanted it to look very separate but also together in the room, so I created just like a little wall of lights to kind of bring that stage difference. I knew going on in I wanted to have kind of a raised area, but honestly it was just such a lot of faff to kind of do, and I gave up on that point and I just went for like a really thick black rug instead. Going on in I probably would have elevated the stage a little bit just to make it look a bit, you know, like the centerpiece of the room, but ultimately I do think it's, you know, it's nice enough, it gets the job done. But yeah, going back in I definitely would make sure that the stage itself was raised. So going on in I wanted to create a kind of, you know, area for the musicians. Obviously I didn't raise the stage as much as I maybe would have liked. I think that would have definitely added a different kind of element to it, but ultimately I just wanted to create an area where you could have the musicians, their instruments, and just like a really cool like stage-ish area for what it is. Like I said, it is based on the Hideout, but it's kind of like an area in between a very dingy small town like pub to kind of somewhere a bit more upbeat. So I love how we still ended up managing to separate the rooms, so much so that it kind of looked I don't know, I'm probably like saying my age a bit, but MTV Unplugged. I just like that kind of vibe where it's just like really intimate and really cool. I do go in with some storage options, which later on I did kind of regret not putting in, just because I wanted to add a little bit more to the room, but ultimately I just kind of thought the less clutter the better. So I wanted to add a backdrop, so I went in with some of like the bigger posters I could think of, and I went with these balloons. I know balloons aren't very rock star, I mean they can be, but I love the black and white element to it. I kind of like the fact that it covered most of the wall, and yeah, black and white is my favourite kind of colour mix anyway, so it is a bit of a self-serve kind of deal. And I went in and found out that I could put these skulls in, and I just thought skulls kind of added this cool vibe. Like I say, going on in, I probably would use things from the Halloween pack a bit more just to add that kind of rock star vibe. But yeah, it was a cool backdrop, and it separated the room a little bit, and yeah, I can definitely imagine people playing some music up there. Going on in now, I just found out some last minute details, and just before I go into the bathroom, and yes, I was still not happy with that with the island, but you know, ultimately we just left it as it was. So going on in now to the green room, or the red room as I called it, I wanted to go for a bit more of a muted rockstar palette, so I went in with the greys and blacks and reds, and I just thought why not just go for like a little kind of rider table, and I wanted to include things like snacks and hair products and stuff like that, stuff you would either want before or after a show. Eagle eyes will notice what I've put on the table. But yeah, I wanted to kind of include something a little fun, and yeah, just, you know, a little bit more lived in and a bit more personal. As you guys know by now, I like to create little stories with my Sims, and I just thought, why not have a little table again for snacks and whatever else a rock star would want after a performance. So moving on to bathrooms now, I wanted to keep it very simple with the same kind of vibes as the rest of the build, so blacks, reds, greys, I don't know, maybe like a very cool star mirror or two. But yeah, ultimately I just wanted them to be super plain because they're public bathrooms, and I didn't want, you know, I wanted it to kind of look like a public bathroom. So I went in with some just normal lighting, and oh, I forgot about the mood light. I just figured the mood light would be pretty cool for any like after photos or whatever. BAM promo. This is what I mean, I overthink everything. So yeah, so the bathrooms kind of had plain toilets and sinks in, but I do include like a floor mirror, like a length mirror, because I figured people would want to take pictures of their outfits, because let's be real, if you've dressed up to go out, why not take a photo of it? You guys know the drill by now. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to keep it very simple, and yeah, and I think it really did fit the rest of the vibe, and I knew I wanted a little splash of colour, so I do go in with some red hand towels, and yeah, and I love how these little bathrooms came out. I thought they were really cool. So this is where I normally like to go around the rest of the building and add in anything that I've maybe forgotten or wanted to add a little something to. So I went in with red floors for the main area and the bathrooms, and I like how it kind of made the lights pop a little bit more. Here's me realising that I had it built on the outside and didn't include to stretch out the roof. So I stretched out the roof and added a few more little posters in, just to kind of give it a bit more of a, I don't know, a rock night kind of club vibe, if you guys get my drift. And yeah, ultimately I really wish I could have placed some of the posters differently, but it is what it is, and I think it looks kind of cool. And yeah, I think I've said cool and about 1,000 times in this video today. I must get a counter for the corner. So here's me, as I say, stretching the roof to kind of fit the last minute vibe, and realising that I haven't actually put doors on the toilets. There is always one thing I forget to do on builds, and most of the time it is doors. So I wanted to kind of just include adding these in, and wasn't quite sure where I was going because I couldn't see the emblem on the door until I'd rotated it. So I will say that it was such an incredible build, and I absolutely love how it came out, and I wanted to show you guys what it looked like maybe in like nighttime, the evening and the morning. So I added a few extra little lights and things like that to the outside of the build to look a bit more, I don't know, welcoming. And yeah, and I'm starting to wrap it up. So I honestly think that this is quite a cool build. Like I say, it is based on the Hideaway, but I love, you know, I'd love to play that one day. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I ultimately want to do these things maybe once or twice a week this year and just really focus on getting really cool content out to you. So again, thank you so much for watching. You guys are just the best. So as always, stay safe, and I really hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.